This is my first weapon that I ever bought. I bought this weapon back in 1990 in Germany. This is an XR-15 Shorty. We call it a bullpup because this bitch got kicked to it. This bitch will knock you the fuck down. The interesting thing about this weapon is if I pull back the bolt, see that? See the bolt? There's no bullet in there. Pay very close attention. If I'm not paying attention and I take this weapon and I bang it, look what just happened. The bolt goes forward. The weapon has fired. I didn't touch the trigger. I just simply banged it on the table. If you sit down and you bang this on the ground, you will blow your head off. It happens in basic training every day. And you all get a letter and a flag saying your son was killed in a training accident. An old shotgun, if you drop it, it will fire. So don't believe these motherfuckers running around talking about you shouldn't have had your hand on the trigger. You don't have to have your hand on the trigger. Let me show you again. I'm going to sit down. I'm tired. You just committed an incident. Your hand was not on the trigger. Doesn't make a difference whether, and it was on safe. Unless you understand weapons for real. Don't you listen to these motherfuckers who have no intention of ever picking up one and who don't understand that weapons go off by themselves all the time. Now that I've shown you that,
I'm going to do this video over again because I need to be calm because I'm not going to be careless like Grandmaster Jay. So, a bunch of stuff has been floating around about Grandmaster Jay being a fraud. And I kept my ear open, but I didn't cast any judgment about it. Tariq Nasheed did a video the other day that I happened to see. And I actually saw the original clip, but he played it on his show of Grandmaster Jay in 2015 in front of a bunch of white folks talking to, that, all lives matter, pandering talking point in the white crowd, they clap for him and everything. And so the people that are running around saying, this nigga's an agent, he's a plant, probably a George Soros plant, because again, they don't like organic pro-black movements because they can't control them. All right. And so I took note of it, didn't say anything about it. Was like, okay, he said all lives matter. All right. But the video clip that I just saw in the forums in the white community are just all abuzz. And there's mixed feelings in there. You get the people, we support, the Constitution for everybody. Because again, I've told you, white men have that cognitive dissonance when it comes to supporting the Second Amendment and supporting, the Second Amendment as it applies to black people as well, because they don't want to come off as hypocrites. Because remember, these are the race deniers, right? The ones that it's not about race, da 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 da. So a lot of them try to save face and they try to be very consistent when it comes to the Second Amendment. And so they'll say, well, we support their right to march and blah, 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 but we don't support what they're actually marching about, yada, 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 right? And so the other day during the march in Louisville, there was a negligent discharge. That means it doesn't mean anybody got shot like somebody was being shot at, but somebody's firearm went off and accidentally hit 3 people. Now, what they're saying is that it was a woman and that she had a shotgun. Now, I've already had a problem with the fact that the NFAC has this, what I would call a ragtag militia, because you have all these black people who have no military training coming together with whatever firearm they can bring. You know, you got sub 2000s out there. You got, high points out there. You got all type of goofy weapons, SKSs, Mosin Nagants, shotguns, right? If I was to have a militia, they would have a standardized weapon, and that weapon would be the AR-15 platform. However anybody wants to configure it to be comfortable, different stocks, whatever, they can have whatever. As long as it's AR-15, we're good to go. I might tolerate AK-47s, but I would make sure that everybody is proficient with their weapon. And the reason I'm saying I would want it to be, I would start off with the AR-15 as a single platform is that's the only way that I can ensure that everybody who's coming out is proficient with their firearm. Grandmaster Jay, he's a, self-proclaimed military man, right? The more I listen to him, the more it looks like stolen valor to me. Make sure I have enough battery life. Yeah, I got enough battery life. Yeah, it looks like stolen valor to me. Either he's an agent or he's just somebody who's just making shit up and, is doing the typical black male inner city nigga type shit where, they just want to be in the spotlight and, they think that they can slick talk and jive talk, their way through everything. But all it does is expose their ignorance on the subject and expose themselves to being a fraud. I'm an EL. I grew up in the burbs. I learned all about firearms, regrettably not from my grandfather, not from my father, but from white men on YouTube by watching YouTube videos. And I got, heavily involved in firearms. I have several firearms. And, I've become somewhat of a gun, enthusiast. So there's many black men that I've come across over the years that, they think it's masculine to talk about, their knowledge of firearms. And see, the thing is that, we have this culture in the black community that's very anti-gun, very anti-Second Amendment. And so there's a lot of people in the black community that don't know anything about firearms. I remember I was reading this article about, police lockers and how they find all type of guns. And a lot of times the guns have the wrong caliber in the chambers of the guns because even the criminals are ignorant of the firearms that they're using for their criminal behavior. Well, like I said, I've come across a number of black men who have demonstrated their, incompetence, their ignorance, the gangstest of all gangsters. Come up talking to me about 45 millimeter. What the fuck is a 45 millimeter? Come up to me talking about 9 ACP. What is a 9 ACP? There's no such thing as a 9 ACP. Or my personal favorite. Oh man, I got a gun. Oh, what you got? Yeah, man, I got that 40 cal Springfield and Wesson. Springfield and Wesson? You mean Smith & Wesson? Oh, yeah. See what I'm talking about? Don't know what they're talking about, but these are the gangsters of all gangsters. Let them tell it. And so now we have a military man who says he's in the military, seen combat, all that stuff, who comes online and tries to make an excuse for the negligent discharge. There's a lot of things that piss me off about that. As somebody who's a self-proclaimed leader, going out there and doing all this militaristic stuff, I got a couple issues with that because first off, that shit reflects on all black people. You have a negligent discharge, and again, black people, we want to be in the spotlight, we want to be recognized and everything, and the media is giving the NFAC that attention. And here you have a negligent discharge that is making its way all over the internet right now. And it's embarrassing, even to black people who weren't there and have nothing to do with it. It just simply reinforces what, the white supremacists will run around. Oh, see the niggas and their tiny Negro brains and they don't know how to do anything and they need white male leadership in order to to do anything. They can't even march in step. Can't even march in step. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of the white militias, we've seen the big sloppy white guys with their stomachs spilling over, out from underneath their plate carrier and over their pants. We've seen that. These guys, they don't even look like they can make it up a flight of stairs. This is why I'm always big on, black men working out, but that's a whole nother conversation. Aside from the fact that apparently the person that had the negligent discharge was a woman with a shotgun. Again, another not a good look, and another reason why I say that women don't need to be on the quote unquote front lines. That's a man's job. If that's too sexist for some of y'all, so fucking be it. That's a man's job. If that's too Eurocentric for you, so fucking be it. I'm not saying that women shouldn't know how to use firearms and be proficient, but I'm saying that display of force, I don't think women should be out there. And the fact that there was a negligent discharge, it's not a good look, whether it's a male or a female. But I'm saying it's especially not a good look being a female. But in Grandmaster Jay saying that he's the leader, that's your responsibility to make sure that every person out there is proficient with their firearm. I don't care if you got to walk down the motherfucking line and check every person's firearm or check to make sure that every person is competent with whatever firearm they bring to you. Have them, have an empty magazine and load it in front of you or load the gun in front of you and lock the slide back or whatever. Whatever steps you got to do. You the military, man. You're supposed to know more than I know. I mean, that's irresponsible. That's your responsibility as the quote unquote Grandmaster. That's your responsibility. What else did I have a problem with? I had a problem with Grandmaster Jay's complete and utter ignorance on firearms as a military man. So right here, hold on. I have my rifle. Clear. And Grandmaster Jay said that he bought an XR-15 from Germany. I don't even know what the fucking XR-15 is. I looked it up on Google. I couldn't find not one image of anything called an XR-15, let alone bought in 1990 in Germany. I don't even know how that's possible. But hey, I'm not a military person. Maybe it's possible for people to bring back firearms from Germany. But I'm like, since when did Germany have a Second Amendment to where people could simply walk into a store and purchase an XR-15? I'd love to know where Grandmaster Jay got this XR-15, where he got this XR-15 in Germany. I'd love to know where he got it from. I hate when people interrupt me when I'm making a video. Yeah. So the other thing that he said, and I noticed that would look to be an M16 with a bull barrel on it. And if I really wanted to just dive into it, I'd find out exactly what model that is, but I don't have enough information. So I'm not going to waste my time trying to speculate on that. Grandmaster Jay said that if you take the rifle and you lock the slide back or lock the bolt back, which I've done right now, and you slam it on the ground, the bolt will slam forward. And he is correct. He is correct. But this is why a lot of the white boys online, that are, the Second Amendment people, this is why they're ripping Grandmaster Jay apart on his ignorance, demonstrating he knows nothing about firearms. The way that the AR-15 is designed, which again, I don't even know why he used it if the woman had an old shotgun. It doesn't matter that he's arguing about slamming an AR-15 bolt closed, because that's not going to make the firearm go off. The bolt release, when you load a round in an AR-15 and you have you fire your last shot, the bolt locks open, right? When you go to put a new round in the chamber, you hit the bolt release, the bolt slams forward, and the gun doesn't go off. Now, if the gun is on safety, it can't go off because the hammer's locked. If I take it off safety, I can then pull the trigger, right? So let me charge the gun again. So let's say I release the trigger, lock the bolt back, and I slam the bolt forward on an AR-15. The gun is hot. It is not on safety. But yet, you know why the round won't go off in the AR-15? Because the hammer is still back, which is why right now I can pull the trigger. Now the hammer released and went forward. So for him to try to make an analogy between this old shotgun and an AR-15 platform was just completely erroneous, which illustrates to me he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. The next part is he called this gun that he got from Germany, this XR-15, a bull pup. Now, if you just mosey your ass over on Google and go on Wikipedia and type in bull pup, you will see what a bull pup is, which is basically a gun that's action is behind the pistol grip. It's behind it. It's used for CQB and close quarters. It's just a different orientation, a different style of semi-automatic rifle or fully automatic rifle, which is what, all of these guns are based off of. So guns like the X95 Tavor, guns like the Steyr AUG, that's a classic example. Guns like the Kel-Tec RDB, right? Or I believe it's called the RBF, right? These are bull pump designs. No soldier would ever pick up an AR-15 and call it a bull pup. Never. I don't know whether he thought the name was cool or something, but the term that he used was completely inappropriate. Completely inappropriate. And I'm saying this is supposed to be a man that claims that he has military experience and that he knows what he's talking about. And clearly, he doesn't know what he's talking about. What he looks like is one of them stolen valor people who run around claiming that they're Navy SEALs and claiming that they got all this tactical, I was in Vietnam, I was in Afghanistan, I was in Kabul, I was in Mogadishu, Black Hawk Down, that was me, I got a Purple Heart from Obama, all that nonsense, that stolen valor bullshit. Look up stolen valor. Look up the term. It's when you have people who run around claiming that they're military personnel, and they're not. It's the same as these grandmasters of kung fu that have been running around China claiming that they can do Hadoukens on people and knock them over with a force push like they're a goddamn Jedi. After watching that video, I am convinced that Grandmaster Jay is a fraud. If you want my opinion on it, that's my opinion on it. The man is a fraud. Now, the scarier part about him being a fraud is who put him up to what he's doing. You see, I've been on YouTube for a long time. I've been flagged off many times, okay, for many of the things that I have said, depending on the tolerant winds of YouTube. I've had my accounts taken down multiple times. And here comes Grandmaster Jay out of nowhere, talking crazy online, and it's simply allowed. No FBI agent showing up, no Agent Smith knocking at his door. I was listening to Tariq Nasheed's video. He brought that up because we all know that Tariq Nasheed, he got I don't even know if it was a doxing or whatever, but he had the police raid him. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying what Tariq talks about, that's mild compared to what, Grandmaster Jay talks about. And yet ain't nobody kicking in his front door on some SWAT team shit. And I'm like, yo, you talking mighty reckless, my dude. You talking mighty reckless. And yet it's just allowed to go on. Running around, announcing every next move that they plan to make. I'm like, how is this being allowed? You see? So it's suspect. But when you put it all together, all lives matter, calling AR-15s bull pumps, making excuses for negligent discharges, and describing, how an AR-15 works inappropriately, right? Saying that if you slam the bolt and the bolt goes home, again, I'm talking about the rifle that he used as an example, that it will go off. He literally said in his video, guns go off by themselves. I mean, that sounds like a liberal gun control talking point if I've ever heard it. I could only speculate as to why he's up there and being allowed to do what he's doing, and all I can think of off the top of my head, in part, and this could just be one of the reasons, is gun control. You got that negligent discharge that happened, and then what the liberals are going to say? Oh, well, see, that's why we have to ban these assault weapons, and we got to ban guns in public spaces, and so now we're taking a step backwards, you see, in terms of gun rights. Not to mention, what's so fucked up about that negligent discharge? You got a bunch of armed black people walking around with these firearms, right? And we don't know what the various levels of competency are among the people who have, all these firearms. But I'm saying there were other militias that were there. All these white racists that are hiding behind patriotism. Oh, we're just here to make sure nothing goes down, blah, 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 blah. And, what was I going to say? I'm letting stuff slip my mind. The negligent discharge, that's the type of shit that could start people just shooting off at each other. You already got a bunch of people standing out there with arms and then gunshot rings out. That's not a good look. And then here's the part that I really don't understand, right? It's a protest, right? Don't get me wrong. Have your guns, march, show, it's all right. Second Amendment rights, open carry state. I'm all for it, right? I'm all for it. But here's my question. Why does anybody have a round in the chamber? I'm saying you got however many people out there, it looks like hundreds of people. I'm saying, why does anybody need a round in the chamber? Like, what was there? Was there some sort of impeding doom that was about to happen? Is it take that long to rack one, in the chamber? I'm saying have a full magazine. Have a full magazine with the bolt closed. I'm saying you're marching. So why is it necessary for anybody to have a round in the chamber? All you're doing is marching. I highly doubt that even the white boys that are out there on some, 3%er, Oath Keeper, Boogaloo Boys, type of shit, white supremacists, whatever groups, whatever factions, you know what I mean? They don't want no smoke. Not like that. Not like that. So you showing your guns off, hey, we got guns too. You letting them know we don't play that. I don't even know why just Grandmaster Jay just can't keep it like that. You know what I mean? Stop fucking with us, otherwise we will respond. Plain and simple. Why does it have to go into all this other crazy shit? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, just deal with that first. The goal right now should be to stop black people from being harassed and violated. That's the first goal. Everything else is secondary. Oh, we're going to take Texas and all that shit is secondary. So I don't know what's with all this extraness. There's a lot of things that Grandmaster Jay says in his videos that I'm just like, nigga, you being extra right now. You being extra. And see, the part that really gets me with the whole, the Second Amendment issue, like I said, I learned about firearms by myself. It was something that I took, as it was an initiative that I took upon myself to engage in and learn and understand and teach myself. And it wasn't particularly easy, because I mean, it seems easy to me now, but I mean, you get completely overwhelmed, with information as it pertains to firearms. I don't buy my own firearms now. I put them together myself. You know what I mean? But to feel comfortable doing it and the knowledge and everything else and not having anybody, to teach, it takes a lot of work and a lot of discipline in order to do that. You get people, they go out here, they're dropping $1,000 on a rifle, and I can make a better rifle with, maybe $600, $500, something like that. Order all the parts, slap it together, boom, I'm good to go. And it's better than what they bought off of the shelf. But, even knowing where to buy the parts from and, how to get them and where to buy ammo, how to buy ammo in bulk, which right now you can't even get 5.56. So to all the other people listening, if you want to get a rifle now, go with an AK-47 7.62 by 39, because that's actually on the shelf. If you go to SG Ammo, that's actually there. But all the 5.56 all that shit is gone. Even the steel case stuff is gone. Pretty much all the handgun rounds and the rifle rounds are gone. Because you got all this civil unrest going on, and a lot of new gun buyers are going out there and they're buying guns. But just because you have a gun does not make you proficient. There's a lot of people that are most likely a part of that NFAC march, and they don't know what they're doing. They do not know what they're doing. That negligent discharge should not have happened. I don't give a fuck. That shit should not have happened. Why? First off, why is anybody in there with an old ass shotgun? Second off, why does anybody have the rounds in the damn chamber when it's supposed to be a peaceful protest? You know how fucked up that could have been if that negligent discharge happened and there was some other militia group, on the sidelines somewhere, and they figured that was the NFAC firing at them, and then they freaking let off rounds directed right at the NFAC. Like, people, you're not hearing me in terms of the seriousness of what happened. I'm saying any responsible leader would be thoroughly pissed off at that negligent discharge, as opposed to coming online and trying to make excuses for it. I'm saying, if anything, Grandmaster Jay, based on what he said, I'm like, nigga, you shouldn't have said nothing at all. You should have kept your mouth shut and been like, hey, it was an accident or whatever, and we're going to deal with that, because that will not be tolerated. The end. The end. So, in any event, I'm done with this video. When I saw his video, when I saw the video, when I saw him, guns go off by themselves, I was like, oh my God, man. Seriously. I'm just shaking my head right now. You know, and I'm trying to be calm about it. I'm trying to be cool about it, but I'm like, you ask me at this time and juncture what I think of Grandmaster, I'm like, the man's a fraud. I cannot see any person that served in the military saying what he said. I mean, it's about as bad as that general that went up there on CNN and was talking about fully semi-automatic. What the fuck is that? Fully semi-automatic. What the fuck is that? And he's talking about XR-15s and referring to them as bull pups. I'm like, do you even know what a bull pup is? I can't think of any soldier that has used, because I'm saying this is the standard issue rifle for the military. Standard issue. I mean, Grandmaster Jay is old enough to where his standard issue rifle was probably an M16A4. But yet, he's referring to it as a bullpup. This is one of the problems with intelligent black society not getting involved like we should. You know, too often, we sit on the sidelines. We don't do anything. We don't say anything. You know, the sort of, John Lewis, Elijah Cummings type, the black intelligentsia. And what ends up happening is that the people from the streets, they rise up. Because it's like, you either need to shit on the toilet or you need to get the fuck off of it. And so now, as always happens, the black folks from the streets, they end up being the face of everything. They end up being on the loudspeaker. And see, the problem is the people who tend to be the more intelligent have less heart, and they're less willing to go out there and do exactly what Grandmaster Jay is doing. But on the flip side, the problem is that the people with all the aggression and all the heart, they don't think shit out. They don't think it out. They go out there with raw emotions and feelings, And when they get it wrong, or when they make a mistake, they don't even have the self-reflective insight to recognize that a mistake was made and quickly correct it before it gets out of hand. Instead, they do what most black people coming from urban environments typically do, which is deflect, make weak-ass excuses, deny, as opposed to owning up to it. I fucked up. If you the leader and somebody goes off and has a negligent discharge, you fucked up as the leader. I'm going to take responsibility in that. And then behind closed doors, you can go and you can rip into the person that fucked up or tell them that they are no longer a part of the organization. But in front of the camera, nah, that was my responsibility. I fucked up. And if you can't do that, either you don't deserve to be the leader, or you most certainly don't deserve to be up. You don't need to be up there running your mouth, saying anything at all, trying to cover it up. Because that makes us look bad. That makes us look weak. That makes us look incompetent and, above all, irresponsible. That shit was an embarrassment, and it's a reflection on all of us as black people. You can't even have white folks supposed to be scared and shaking in their booties because the NFAC is coming, and yet y'all having negligent discharges. Can't be fucking up. Most certainly not in front of the cameras. As is always said, we gotta be better than they are. 10 times better than they are. Especially when the cameras are rolling. Because they're waiting for us to fuck up. They're waiting for a slip up. We don't get to sit there and excuse, negligent discharges and shit like that. I mean, talk about taking the wind out of the sails of an organization. Everybody wants to downplay it. I'm like, no, that's not to be down. That should not have happened. That should not have happened. Like I said, everybody should have a standard firearm. Make sure everybody's proficient in it. But I can't even come up with why people would have rounds in their chamber at what's supposed to be a peaceful protest. I can't even understand why that was even necessary. Why would she have shotgun shells in this old ass shotgun? That is not a proven system like this AR that's sitting on my lap. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. That's my video. SWP out.